Hey everybody, Captain Britt, CaptainBrittSailing.com. Going to do part number 2 on the rules of the road for you here. So now that we understand which side is the port side, which side is the starboard side, the bow and the aft of the boat, we can start to figure out what we're going to do when we see another boat coming at us and the appropriate action to take. So first of all, one of the things you always want to do is you always want to be on the lookout. You always want to be looking for potential hazards. Lots of crab pots out there floating around that if you run over will wrap up in your propeller. Other boats, sometimes it's easy not to see you know, a boat out in that big wide water. If you're sailing, your sails might be blocking your view and so on. So always be on the lookout for this guy right here coming at you. Secondly, encourage your guests that are with you to also be on the lookout. Tell them, you know, anybody that spots a crab pot gets a free beer when we get back or something like that, to encourage them, because a lot of time your guests are afraid of being stupid or looking stupid because they don't want to mention to you, hey, do you know this boat's coming up here? Because they'll say, oh, he should know that. And, you know, they don't want to look like they don't know what's going on. So if you encourage them to tell you when they see something, that may help you out in the long run. I've done that many times, and I've had many a guest point out to me a crab pot that I didn't see before I ran over it, and I tell them thank you and so on. So it just kind of creates the right atmosphere. So let's talk about right of way. And first of all, there is no right of way. If you're on your boat, you do not have right of way at any time. There is, however, a stand-on vessel and a give-way vessel. The stand-on vessel is the one who is to continue to hold their course and speed. They, if you want to use the word right of way, would have right of way up until the point where they determine that the give-way vessel is not making the appropriate maneuvers to avoid them, in which case they are also obliged to avoid a collision. But until that last second, they are to hold their course and their speed. The give-way vessel, which would be coming in from this side, and we'll get to that. The give-way vessel does not have right of way, and it must alter its course to avoid a collision. If you are the give-way vessel and you know that you need to alter your course, the smartest thing to do is to make a very obvious turn and let the other boat know that you are going to maneuver and what you're going to do so that they can clearly see it. Don't make just a small little turn, make a big turn so they understand, and then maybe you start to straighten your course out when you come back. But the lack of communication is a lot of times what causes a collision. Okay, so sailboat rules. When sailboats approach each other, there are rules that govern how they can do that. And let's talk about for a second the difference between a sailboat and a powerboat. A sailboat is a boat that is under sail. There are no engines on. If you are on your sailboat and your engines are running, then you are a powerboat and you need to act like a powerboat. If you're under sail and only under sail, then you will follow the rules as far as sailboats go. First thing we're going to do is talk about the powerboat rules, and then we'll throw in the sailboat stuff in a third video, let's say, just to keep things nice and small chunks. So if I'm a powerboat and I have another powerboat coming at me, I need to determine, am I stand on or am I give way? So if you remember the port and the starboard and you remember the lights, the green and the red lights, port line is red, so red light is on your port side of your boat. And say I'm this boat coming in here and I'm looking at this boat, so I'm approaching from his starboard side, and what I see is a green light. Now when I remember that I see the green light, that kind of tells me, okay, well, I see the green light, so I'm good to go. I should be the stand-on vessel. I should hold my course and my speed, and the other vessel should maneuver to get around me. So that's what you want to do as long as you can until the last second. If they don't maneuver, then you got to do something. Okay. If I'm coming in from the other side, the port side of the boat, now I'm looking at a red light. Well, the red light tells me, okay, red light, stop. I am the give-way vessel. So now I need to do something. I need to maneuver some way to get around the boat. Best thing to do would be to make an early and obvious maneuver to let them know what I'm going to do, so they don't look at you and think you're not maneuvering, and then they start maneuvering, and then things get to be a mess because you're both maneuvering around. You both turn to the port, you both turn to the starboard, and the next thing you know, you're bumping into each other. So if you are the giveaway vessel, way out in advance, make an obvious maneuver, and usually go around the stern of the other vessel. As you go past, then maybe you start to turn, but you know, make sure that he understands what you're doing. Even if it's to the point where you call them on the VHF radio and say, hey, this is a vessel approaching your port side, I'm going to maneuver to the stern, just to make sure that everybody understands what's going on. Just make sure your communications are clear. The third option, well, fourth actually, is if you're coming from the stern of a vessel and you're overtaking, now, no matter which side you're on, you are the giveaway vessel. You need to be clear of the vessel that's in front of you. The other possibility is that you're approaching each other head on. And if you're looking at a red and a green light, you're on a collision course. Once again, you're going to alter your course in a very noticeable way and typically pass port to port. Once again, you could call on the radio. Also remember, when you're both heading towards each other, you both have speed towards each other, so you're going to come together much quicker. So make that turn early and get out of the way so that the other vessel knows what it's doing. Hopefully it'll do the same. So that's the basics of the powerboat rules. So next time we're going to cover the sailing rules along with that, so we know what to do.